I'm Jeff Adams. I'm out here on the lake fishing the pressure change. It's coming down pretty good.
Fishing with Jeff Adams, he really loves to fish. If you're just the same as Jeff, you won't want to miss this. Fishing with Jeff Adams, facts and fun for free. Bill, Dance, and Roland Martin share their fishing legacy. Crappie fishing, walleye fishing, bass are in the bathtub. Stinkers, paddles, crickets, minnows, now let's get some good grub. Casting, catching, flipping, flopping, looking out for bobbers popping. Jigs and nets and lots of beer, minnows setting, water's clear, making up a good life, living large. Don't tell my wife. Hooking, snagging, nebbing roots, trolling, triton, 215X, crankbaits and hula poppers. Can't you feel it? Can't you feel it? What the heck? Fishing with Jeff Adams, he really loves to fish. And if you're just the same as Jeff, you won't want to miss this. Fishing with Jeff Adams.
Alright guys, this is what I'm talking about. Fishing low pressure. Not a big fish, but it is a fish. Get another one. I like covering a lot of water, trying to locate these fish. Again, not a big fish, but it is a fish. Kind of drifting off the lake here. There he is. I got a hog on. I think that's an Excalibur, if I remember what bait that is. I'm not sure. It's not even a bait I throw typically, but we'll roll. It's raining out here. Gonna make a few casts and see if there's anything biting. Here's some thunder. I'm not catching a whole lot of big fish, but I am catching fish. I'll shut this off. This wind's blowing pretty good on this bank. And you know, a lot of people think that that the wind blows the bait fish into the bank, but that's not the case at all. What happens is the wind blows the plankton, and then that brings the bait fish in. And of course, these fish, they follow these bait fish around, and I can get this thing unhooked. Deep down in there. There it is. So, let's see here. We get one across this point here. It's almost a guaranteed fish when you fish across the points in a windy conditions like this. But there you are. Get another swing at it before I load over it. Nice and slow. You know, crankbait fishing, a lot of people, they get excited whenever it bumps into something. Well, of course that would be a fish, but a lot of people actually miss fish because they're not familiar with their line going slack. So let me reel this in and I'll try to explain it to you a little better. So when a fish comes up to bite a crankbait, what people like to see is the crankbait's coming through the water, right? And then the fish comes up and then they take it. That's when you feel the bite. But what happens when the bait is going through the water and the fish comes up behind it and goes forward and starts taking your line in the direction that you're fishing? Well, then your line, all of a sudden, you don't think that there's anything there. It just goes slack. Well, that is a fish. So try to fish that, pay attention to that a little bit more. Whenever you're fishing, you might get a few more fish. I got the canopy up, so I gotta watch that. Fish around here a little bit. Alright, let's shut this off. monster. Get in here. There he is. Not a giant, but it is a fish. Yeah, I like fishing the pressure change is what I like. Not necessarily low pressure, but the pressure change from high to low. So back up a little bit. So just to explain to you a little bit about barometric pressure, you know, there's a lot of conditions: wind, cover, current, temperature. But one of the big factors that I like fishing is barometric pressure change. Like I said, I like the change. I don't, you know, going out during low pressure doesn't excite me, but when it goes from a high pressure situation to a low one, I'll do my best to get out on the water. That's what brought me out here for an hour tonight. You know, I only live an hour from the lake. So the norm is 29.92. That's the norm for barometric pressure. So anything below 29.92 is considered low pressure. Anything above 29.92 would be considered high pressure. So, just so you know a little bit, explain to you a little bit about barometric pressure if you don't know what it is. Barometric pressure is the same thing as atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure, it has to do with moon phases, it has to do with tide conditions, it has to do with well, we were catching a lot of little fish tonight. A lot of little fish. Tide conditions, and of course weather. You know, you have a storm rolling in. You have a storm rolling in. And you can always tell a got me all over the place. You know, when you look up at the sky and you see bluebird skies and not a cloud in sight, that would be a high pressure situation. Makes fishing a little bit more challenging. Not that you can't catch fish, it's just a little more challenging. So what happens is atmospheric pressure, what these fish are going through is like someone standing on your chest. No, you know, it would be like if you're bloated. You know, you wouldn't want to do anything. So what happens is that these fish go down deeper in the water column, they hold tight to structure, and they're just a little more challenging to catch. But when you get to the norm, the 29.92, that's kind of their feeding. That's when they like to stock up on food. That's when you get your best topwater bite, is during these conditions. And yeah, you know, you get on and you check the temperature for the weekend, and you check you know, which direction the wind's blowing. So next time you go out, you check all those things out, but take a peek. Take a peek at what the atmospheric pressure is going to be like for your day of fishing, because that will actually dictate what I have on, what I tie on my rods. You know, I can have more of a chasing style bait, like a crankbait. I can fish a bigger worm. I can fish my presentations a little bit faster, and I'm not catching any big fish. My presentation can be a little bit faster, make them earn it. But you know, one of the side effects are you do catch a lot of small fish. Not only do the big fish get turned on, but so do the small ones. So if you've ever been on small fish, you'll know that they zip up there and grab your bait pretty quickly. So sometimes the big fish don't even, you know, they can't even get to it if you're in a lake where you're overpopulated with short fish. It actually can make it a little more challenging for the big fish to even get to your bait. So yeah, like I said, so yeah, you know, when you get on weather.com or whatever you use to find out what the weather conditions are going to be like for the weekend, take a peek at the barometric pressure. Hopefully I get a bite here pretty soon. Something worth catching. Get some grass on there. Whoa, there he is. He slammed that. Not a big fish, but he slammed it. And that's what it's all about. It doesn't always have to be a trophy. It's about the fight, you know. A lot of people like catching bluegill because they fight so well, but they're hitting it on the ponds. I was throwing an Omega jig, and I was getting them pretty good on that, just swimming it, and then I broke it off earlier today, so I gotta constantly move back and forward on the boat to keep it from blowing into the bank. This wind's blowing pretty good. Luckily, I got a break from the rain, so it's not too bad. There he is. A lot of short fish. Oh, there's some lightning. Not a big fan of being on the water when it's lightning. If I see too much, I'm gonna go back in. There he is. Might catch one decent fish, but we'll just blast down this bank and head back. Phone's probably gonna die here in a minute. Of course, phone's all I have. I didn't set anything up for this. I'm just out messing around, trying to stay on top of the fish, seeing what's going on. Perfect fishing conditions out here. As soon as I slowed it down, he grabbed it. Oh, look at there. Giant. That is a giant crappie. Good one. Right off the bank. You know, it's spawning time. The water temperature's like 60, 62 degrees. There's more fish in there. Might get a little deeper. This wind. There he is. Ah! Came off. He was just a little guy.